Picture this. You're a parent and it's Christmas in 2011 and you're just out and about shopping. You know you've got an excited kid at home just waiting to get their grubby little hands on a new video game or toy. And you walk into your local store and go over to the video game section and you look down and you see it. Gold. A combination of toys and video games. You take the packaging in your hand and you go to check out and leave. As you're walking out the store, you look down at your purchase and you wonder, what the fuck is a slam bam?
Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Sebastian Richardson, and today we're going to be looking at a very interesting choice that the gaming industry made in the early 2010s. I'm sorry I haven't been around for a while. School has been kicking my butt. Currently, it is Christmas o'clock, so I do have to be kind of quiet in order not to wake up the rest of everybody who lives in this house. So for now, we'll be going dark. 'Tis the season, and what better way to spend it than by spending. In the early 2010s, an interesting genre came to life. Toys to life. It's a very interesting phenomenon within the gaming world, and with the advent of the $70 game, I think it's worth it to look back on a simpler time where you can just go buy a $75 game and then buy 35 extra characters to go along with that game. If you're around my age or younger, then you probably remember these games. And this is a video I've been wanting to make for years now. I actually tried to make this video when I first started all those years ago. But now I'm here and I'm hopefully have the skills to review these games the way I'd like. Every Christmas I'm reminded of these games. I first got Spyro's Adventure in Christmas 2011, and ever since then, I had been a fan, and I played every one of these games when they came out. So I want to take a look back on these, see if they still hold up, and have some fun on the way. I just pray to God that Santa doesn't come around again. Last year, he came, and he gave me Fortnite, the worst gift I've ever received. So this year, I'm just gonna hope and pray that we don't see him. But before we go to the 2010s, first I need to take you back to the 80s.
The first ever Toys to Life game, as far as I could tell, are Duck Hunt and the Rob games. Duck Hunt was first developed for the NES and was released in 1984 as a release title for the console. It was based on the Duck Hunt arcade machines, and everybody knows Duck Hunt. Mainly because it came packaged in with the console as part of a dual cartridge with Super Mario Bros. But Sebastian, why are we talking about this?
Because it came armed.
Yes, the Zapper. Believe me, there's one in your house, you just have to look hard enough. It used light gun technology for you to poach innocent ducks with your asshole dog. It wasn't the only game released for the NES as a toy. Rob, the toy that saved gaming, you know the story now, but Gyromite and Stack Up also use this, and wow, that is some gameplay. These two were our first instances of Toys to Life as a genre. There were some attempts after the fact, but nothing came close to the success of these guys. But something big was coming. Something that would rock the world of gaming for half a decade. And it all started in 2008, Vivid was going out of business. They had suffered huge losses, and Activision swooped in and bought tons of shares, basically merging the companies. You probably know Activision from Call of Duty, and Call of Duty. Once they acquired Vivid, they wanted to revive one of their most popular series, Spyro the Dragon, one of the original PlayStation gems, but his games hadn't been doing so hot, so they decided to take him in a very different direction and make the next game a grounded and gritty take on the character. You know, just like his last 3 games. The idea was scrapped, but something big was happening within the studio. In the bowels of Activision, they were forging a new kind of technology with the NFC chip. With it, they could use it to take things from real life and have it be read in-game. It was revolutionary technology, but it was also a huge gamble. This would require people to not only buy the game, but buy the toys that went with it for it to be profitable. Any normal studio would consider this crazy and too risky. But we're talking about the guys who put Black Ops on the DS, goddammit. And with that, a juggernaut was born. I remember when I first got this game 13 years ago. It was a Christmas much like this one. Little did I know that Christmas morning would be the start of my spending spree. My mom bought me this game that year because I love Spyro. The first time I heard about Spyro, I think it was through Happy Meal toys. Then I went out and rented a few of the Spyro games when Blockbuster was still a thing before it closed down. So when my mom saw this game with Spyro in the name and a toy of him, she probably said, "Yeah, what the heck, I'll get it for him." I was a little confused to what this game was. It was a game with toys. What was I supposed to do? The minute I put that game into the Wii, I was hooked. I remember how magical it felt the first time putting Spyro down in the portal and seeing him appear in game. It's still a technology that's impressive to this day. The way this game, or any of these Toys to Life games, was actually possible is with the NFC chip. It's in the bottom of the figures, and NFC stands for Near Field Communication. It was created by Franz Amtmann and Philippe Maguires in 2002. Probably butchered those names, I'm sorry guys. By all accounts, this game should have not succeeded, but it was a huge hit. When I was a kid, everyone I knew had this game. It came out on October 12, 2011 for Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii U, 3DS, and PC.
The figures flew off the shelf and into the execs' pockets, but to play this, I think I'm gonna need more than just 3 Skylanders. Hello?
Hello, I heard you're looking for Skylanders.
Maybe I am. Who's asking?
Come to this address.
Hey, you're the one looking for toys?
Yeah, I am.
Well, you've come to the right place. What's your poison? Earth? Wind? Fire?
I need one of everything.
What?
You heard me, man.
Okay.
Oh, well that was easy.
Well, you can have them. You can have them for free.
Oh, gee, thanks.
On one condition.
Can I play too?
The main character for this game is you!
Us?
Yes, you! We are the Portal Masters, and we must defeat Chaos. The Skylanders used to be controlled by Eon, the supreme Portal Master who brought peace to Skylands. Until one day, Chaos destroyed the core of light with his ultimate weapon. When it exploded, the Skylanders were sent to Earth. I love that it gives a canonical explanation of why they are figures in real life. It really gives you a sort of connection to your figures. Speaking of figures, here they are! Each Skylander sits on a base, and each base represents an element of the core of light. Magic, water, fire, tech, air, undead, life, and earth. There are 4 Skylanders per element, making the total 32. And honestly, they weren't too expensive. They sold for $8 a pop. But if you were to collect them all, it was still $256.
But you have most of them though. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, collecting these guys can get pretty pricey. But the figures don't look so bad, except for Spyro, who is a war crime. I especially think that this first batch is pretty memorable, because this is all we had at the time. But there were variants, and they were different colors, dark versions, flocked, glow-in-the-dark, and even legendaries, which are the most frequent. Each character has their own unique abilities, but they all control mainly the same. They all have 3 attacks, a main, a secondary, and a third, which could be attack or movement based. Speaking of movement, it's pretty stiff most of the time, and it doesn't affect the game too much, but there's some moments of precise movement that you need to do, and it gets a little annoying. You play the game by completing objectives throughout the level, and the design is pretty linear. The puzzles aren't too terribly hard, but the game really pulls you in with its charm. These levels just all feel really unique to each other, and there's a lot of side quests you can complete, and it also supports co-op play, so you and your friend can work together and compete in levels or, try to sabotage each other. Honestly, the story progression is what really hooks you. I especially think this first one has such a good structure. We have these different elements that we need to collect, so the game is broken up into the sections based on the different elements. For example, if you were to take the tech element, it has 3 levels based around it, and they're all World War II military themed. Then you go into the fire, which is all underground and lava-y. Each section feels wholly unique, and each level is progressing to rebuild the core of light. So there's always a sense of progression, and it just works. There are so many of my favorite levels of the series: Leviathan Lagoon, Creepy Citadel, The Lair of Chaos. This game is just so charming and endearing, especially your allies. They are so fun. Hugo is a fun character and is really the guiding figure in the journey. He worked with Eon and he knows how to rebuild the core. This is one of the only times I think the sheep joke in these games really works, with his unexplained fear/hatred of them. Callie's okay too, but she really gets to shine in the future games, but the two that really stick out are Flynn and Chaos.
Joe!
Yes, Flynn is voiced by Patrick Warburton, Kronk, the guy from Soarin' Over California, and Joe from Family Guy. He's great at playing this pompous idiot, and he doesn't get overused in this game. You can tell he's having fun, and the voice fits well for this doofus. Richard Stephen Horvitz gets to play Chaos, and he is putting his everything into him. He was Invader Zim and tons of other characters, and he is great for these tiny evil characters. Every time he's on screen, he is just a gem, and he never even interacts with the Skylanders until the end. And he actually feels like a threat, because we know he destroyed the core once. He's perfectly balanced, as all things should be, by Glumshanks, who's played by Chris Cox. With his dry humor, they just balance each other out so well. And they're the usual suspects you find in gaming too: Laura Bailey as Persephone, Steve Blum as Auric, Josh Keaton as Spyro, and many more. And it just all adds to the world and the charm. The music in this game is so fun as well, and I use it all the time in my D&D campaigns because it's just good adventure music by Lauren Balfe. He does a fantastic job. He also composed the Mission Impossible movies, which is interesting. But the main theme was actually composed by Hans Zimmer. Academy Award-winning Hans Zimmer. One thing I love about Skylanders is the hub, and this may be my favorite video game hub of all time. I love our island. It's so weird and strange, and just running around it feels like an adventure. And with each new level, more of the hub gets unlocked, and the vibes are great. Oh, and the boss battles. I love when you're fighting Chaos and he summons his own Skylanders. He has different spells for each fight, and then when you get to the final boss, he combines every power and Skylander you face into one big fight. It's great, and the Hydra is so cool and represents the elemental powers he's been using. It's a legitimately difficult boss fight too. Once you defeat Chaos, he then gets transported to our world for the next game. I could go on with this game, but I really do love it, and I think it holds up tremendously well.
Wow. That was great.
Wow. I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, but to continue, we're going to need more Skylanders. We're going to need something big.
Oh, I've got something big.
Gross.
Well, let me call my associate.
Hello.
What are you doing in my house?
I heard you needed some Skylanders. So here I am.
You just had those on you?
Nah, found them in the bin backyard.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Don't worry, I'm a professional time waster. Playing Skylanders is in my job description.
Oh, then why don't you join us for some kids games that no one cares about from a decade ago?
The next year in 2012, Activision saw the success of Spyro's Adventure and immediately started making a sequel. Skylanders Giants released on October 21st, 2012 for the Wii, Wii U, 3DS, Xbox 360, and PS3. They needed something to get people to buy the next game. They needed something larger, by 2.5 inches. Introducing the Giants. They are like Skylanders, except they are big. These guys were so cool when they were coming out. I remember getting a hold of T-Rex for the first time, and it felt so much bigger. These guys could do feats of strength that were just like knocking over mountains or pulling ships in for treasure. They also glow. This is when they introduced the idea of a light core Skylander, a variant of figure that lights up when you use him and deals major damage when you put them on the portal.
No! My eyes!
Something that I don't like about this wave is that they re-released some of the Skylanders from the first game as Series 2 Skylanders with different poses. They made Series 2 Skylanders for almost every one of the original Skylanders, and a light core version for each element. This is where the argument about wasting money comes in. If you already have the figure, why would you need a Series 2?
And I bought him. But it's so different. It has one more move.
Regardless, each element got a new base Skylander, and a giant. One thing I really respect, however, is the fact that you can use any Skylander from the previous game here, and that will go on from every game moving forward. They easily could have made it so that you had to buy new ones, but no. Your collection works on any newer installment, and that's just awesome. The premise for this one is that Chaos wakes up on Earth and is sent back to Skylands by Glumshanks, where he finds an Archean Conkertron. In the last game, we learned about how the ancient race of Archean warlords who were defeated by the giants in ancient times. Now Chaos plans on reawakening the army and taking over the world with the Iron Fist of Argus. The gameplay remains largely the same, but the level design has gotten a little more intricate. This game right here I think has some of the best levels of the series. Every one of these levels rocks. Except for Auto Gyro Adventure, hate that one. But I mean, come on. Rumbletown, Drill X's Big Rig, the Oracle fucking Willikin World. I love Willikin World. It's so creepy and off-putting, even when it's happy. So the gimmick here is that you can flip a switch and the world comes to life with these creepy dolls that Chaos used to play with. And everything is a facade in normal time, but if you flip it, then it's all happy and then you walk through these houses. There are dead kids here. There are dead kids here. There's a house with a ghost child. It is so cool. I mean, what the hell, game? I brought my kids to this. And don't get me started on Chompy Mage. All my friends love Chompy Mage. On this adventure, we are now on the Dreadnought, Flynn's new ship. We kind of abandoned Hugo in this game, but the relationship between Finn and Callie is nice. As we progress through the game, we just keep collecting more and more weirdos as we go along. A pirate, a hermit, a gladiator, it's great. I love exploring the ship just as much as the island. It feels so cozy. Well, let's talk about Skystones. Skystones is a card game in this video game. It's really fun because basically, you have to have more spikes on your card than the others, and whoever has the most of their color wins. It's great, and only one of the side modes I actively want to play. I don't think the story progression is quite as tight as Spyro's Adventure, but it's still fun. The variety of levels makes up for them, and I think that they found a sweet spot of not being too short and not being too long. And each level has a new quirk to spice it up. The voice cast is great too. I really like some of the new additions like George Takei as the Conkertron, Troy Baker, frickin' Indiana Jones as Brock, and Yuri Lowenthal as my boy Fright Rider. It's cool that we have Yuri and Josh Keaton in the same game. By the end of the game, Chaos gets the Iron Fist of Argus and becomes a robot, and we've got to defeat him. This final boss isn't as great as the first, but I still think it's fun, and it's nice that our friends come in and help us save the day. Honestly, I ended up liking it even better than the first. The level design is just better, and the story is just as engaging. I was hooked. Something fun they did in this game was dropping a bunch of lore for Chaos, where we actually go to his house and get a bunch of info from the Willikin. There's a post-credit scene where Chaos stumbles back to his home, where he comes to face with his mom.
Oh! Yeah! Yeah! She's hot! Mom!
It was another financial hit, and it proved that this genre was here to stay as a juggernaut of industry. This is also about the time other companies took note. Speaking of other companies, the Pokemon Company. Yeah, so they took Pokemon Rumble, a fun little game from the Wii Shop, and turned it into this. A battle arena brawler that was only accessed by these dinky-ass figures you can only find at GameStop. But they did lead somewhere that we will talk about later. This was Nintendo's first foray into the world of toys to life.
Well, that was awful. What next?
It seems like we have a mandate from the mouse. Looks like we gotta play Disney Infinity next.
Fuck yeah, I can't wait any longer. If I have to, I will literally scream.
when something's making money, you know the mouse is right there to snatch it up. Disney Infinity was developed by Avalanche Software, and it was supposed to be a sequel to Toy Story 3, the video game, not the movie. Toy Story 3 was a great game, and in it there is a mode called Toy Box. No, not the Kingdom Hearts level. The developers wanted to expand on that, and Disney saw the number Skylanders were doing, so they said,
So, you have some Disney franchises for me. Yeah, you can have the Lone Ranger. The fuck am I supposed to do with that?
Disney allowed them to use all their IPs to make Disney Infinity, and it was released on August 18th, 2013 for Wii U, Wii, Xbox 360, PS3, and 3DS. Just like Skylanders before it, it was another hit, though not as profitable. Unlike Skylanders, there's no story. You think the appeal of a crossover game was to be... I think the appeal of a crossover game is to have an interconnected story where all these characters mingle and collide. If Lightning McQueen and Davy Jones aren't beefing, then what's the point? The game is more akin to the Minecrafts of the world. The main selling point is the sandbox, and they give you a bunch of creative tools to build your own world. I've made monstrosities, and I know people who have some incredible things with these tools. I just don't find it very intuitive, especially with the Wii U gamepad. I think it's just kind of hard to control exactly where you're going to place things. Makes it so you have to use the analog stick when you could have easily done it touchscreen. The character controls are fine. They have two attacks, a short range and a long range. While we're talking about the characters, let's talk about this roster. Most of these characters are Pixar characters, and the rest are mainly there to promote new movies out at the time. I'm sorry, but no one was asking for the Lone Ranger. Also, Jack Skellington isn't even a Disney character. There's only one real classic Disney character here, and it's Mickey. You can't even play as Goofy. Can't have shit in Disneyland. There are story modes, technically, through the use of the playsets, these little hexagonal things. It lets you play a story mode based on one of the movies. Sucky thing is, you cannot use characters who aren't from the original property of these playsets. Why? You get 3 playsets in the game, which is a pretty good deal. You get Pirates of the Caribbean, The Incredibles, and Monsters University, and they're all pretty lengthy. Other than that, you have Cars, Toy Story, and... God damn it. These are fine. They aren't super awesome, but they're fun enough. But come on, man, this idea has so much potential, and I feel like it's just so much of a waste to not have an overarching story. The toy box is pretty fun, but there's only so much you could really do with it. It's not like Minecraft where there are endless possibilities. You get these certain pieces and that's all she wrote. The art style in this game is pretty interesting. The concept they're going for, it's like the characters are toys. You know, the Smash Bros approach. All the environments are styled the same way too. It's a necessary step for all these characters to have a uniform look, and I kinda dig it. These figures sold really well. Well, some of them. They also sold other blind bag things, and they're weird. They're called power discs. These round ones give boost to your figures, but you can't use it if there are 2 players on there. Overall, it's a nice time, but there's just a lack of stuff to do. It's still polished, and there's something I really like about the opening. It feels like it really captures the Disney spirit, and the music is just great.
What was that?
I don't know.
Shh. Hear that?
The sweets?
What's inside? Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
This is a moment Skylanders became Call of Duty. When Skylanders was becoming an annual franchise, Activision decided to split the work between 2 studios, Toys for Bob, who developed the first 2 games, and now Vicarious Visions, who developed this game. It was released on October 13th, 2013 for Wii, Wii U, 3DS, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. The gimmick here are that the Swap Force, a group of Skylanders who can swap their tops and bottoms to create new Skylanders. This is such an interesting idea and a concept. It makes for some really funny swaps. It's just too bad I don't like the game it's attached to. Yeah, you can kind of tell this game was developed by a different studio, and my main problem with it are the levels. I can't stand how these levels are designed. They are so long, and the concepts are just not all that interesting. With the past two games, each level had something unique with it, either mechanically or environmentally. These ones are just like a marathon. The story is just weaker overall as well, and I don't know, man. It just doesn't work. The evil Todd Howard. These levels just make me feel nothing. This is the first game that actually felt like a chore. Hey, remember how I said Flynn and Chaos were my favorite characters? Well, now they're the only characters. There is such a thing as too much Flynn. Like, he's still fun, and Warburton does a good job, but he just works much better as a side character. It's the Mater effect. When a funny side character becomes the main focus, it becomes grating. We get some fun new characters. Tessa's okay, and I like Sharpfin. He brings a fun dynamic and balances Flynn's antics out. Chaos is still great, but the real standout is his mother. She's great. She's played by Christine Baranski from tons and tons of musicals like Chicago. She does a fantastic job, and she brings a great presence to the role. She's very theatrical and Maleficent-like. This thing runs like garbage on the Wii, which is what I had to play it on, but even if it was on a higher powered console, I don't think it would change my opinion all that much. It's just kind of boring, and it was very middle of the road. The story just didn't really flow well either, and none of the plot points really feel fully developed. But the levels are just so long it doesn't feel worth it for the little bit of story progression. I remember really liking this one too as a kid, but playing it now, I just don't feel like it was very fun. And the swap areas are very tedious. I didn't feel like they really added anything of substance. The level themes are just kind of generic as well. You can make the argument that the previous games had generic levels too, but they didn't overstay their welcome.
But Swap Force was innovative.
Yeah, look at the A button.
See? It's just a jump.
At least the hub is mildly interesting, though I don't think Woodboro or the Cloudbreak Islands in general are distinct enough from the rest of the world to make a big deal of it. The giant chaos fight at the end was pretty fun. I liked literally punching his teeth in, and my boy Glumshanks finally gets his just desserts. Soon Disney saw the success of Infinity and quickly greenlit another project. They had recently acquired some new IP that they would implement, so they created Disney Infinity 2.0. That's a weird way to spell Disney. Disney Infinity 2.0 released on September 23rd, 2014 for PS3, PS4, Wii, Wii U, Xbox 360, Xbox One, 3DS, PS Vita, and mobile. Jesus. May I present the next tech giant? Just like an iPhone, it's more of the same. So, there are Marvel characters, which is real cool. The Avengers was still pretty new, and it was still a cool addition when it came out. The gameplay was basically the same thing as the last. We've got the toy box, which luckily had all the parts from 1.0, plus new things, which was also pretty cool. The new playsets are all Marvel themed, and I do think they are slightly better than the last ones, especially in the story department. They feel very comic booky, probably because they were written by Brian Michael Bendis, who's a comic writer. Oh, you know, he isn't super important, he only wrote Ultimate Spider-Man, you know, the comic that introduced Miles Morales. He's a huge comic writer, and he did some good work here. The Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy sets are definitely more based on the movies with some comic twists. The Spider-Man one is my favorite since it has a lot of random characters like Iron Fist and Nova. The other thing that's really cool about these story modes is that you can find these tokens that let you use characters from other franchises. No, not Disney characters, God no. Other Marvel characters. Finally, Iron Man and Spider-Man. Now this is a crossover. They added some more Disney characters, and a few of them came with levels based on Disney movies. We also got to dive deeper into the Disney catalog. By deeper, I mean into the 90s. And we got some cool ones like Stitch and Aladdin, but mostly newer projects once again. I mean, at least we have Donald. That means the next game we're gonna get Goofy, right? Right? It was another success though. Me and most people were still left wanting more, but it was successful. And they would continue to innovate with the next game.
This is messed up.
Yeah, when I broke into here, I wasn't expecting to be scared of someone else breaking into here.
Look, this happened to me last year. Every year, someone breaks into my house and leaves shit all over the place. I mean, look at it! We can't let the fat man keep getting away with this. You need a better security system. No, I need justice. I can't keep letting him just throw all this garbage around my house. What am I supposed to do with a Captain Barbosa and a Pop Fizz?
Well, maybe.
I think I might have an idea.